Europe destroys millions of returned products every year, not because they are unusable, because the system cannot process them economically. Today's question is simple. Is refurbishment a sustainability narrative, or is it a core retail infrastructure? Returns are no longer a side effect of e-commerce. They are a structural line item on every P&L. Wolfgang Weingräber, co-founder and CEO of ByeAgain, builds refurbishment-as-a-service for brands and retailers, integrating AI, proprietary ERP systems, and operational automation, returned and B-goods into controlled, monetizable inventory. The decision is not mortal, it's architectural.
Welcome to Startuprad.io, your podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Wolfgang Weingräber co-founded ByeAgain in 2022 after working in large-scale intralogistics and fulfillment automation at SSI Schäfer. His operational thesis emerged from a structural observation. Retailers were destroying usable goods because they lacked scalable refurbishment processes. ByeAgain built an end-to-end refurbishment system. Inbound quality control, cleaning, grading, resale, fulfillment, powered by an internal refurbishment ERP and AI-driven decision automation. The company is currently scaling capacity from tens of thousands to over 1 million units per year and is raising capital to industrialize re-commerce across Europe. This conversation examines refurbishment not as a branding, but an operational infrastructure. Welcome, Wolfgang. And how would an English native speaker pronounce your name?
Hi, happy to be here. I'm into the question. I guess it would be Wolfgang. That's easy. Weingräber, something in that direction.
Weingräber. Okay, here we go. You position refurbishment as infrastructure and not with a sustainability label. At what annual return volume does refurbishment, in your opinion, shift from optional initiative to really a mandatory P&L function?
So from our perspective, it starts from day zero, from one piece. Why is that? Because for a brand or retailer, returns are cost. Like if you have one return, you have a cost for it. And that's exactly what we are going to handle, that even though that you don't have large quantities of the same product, we have the operations behind to be able to refurbish that. Because maybe one thing that we might also have to tap into is that we from ByeAgain, we are not talking about electronic products, because in electronics, there are already large scale operations out there. We are talking about non-standardized products. So categories like baby kids equipment, DIY tools, gardening, or pets equipment. Here you have the issue that every product is different from each other. And so our system has to handle this great variety of products.
Mm-hmm. So we at first talking about physical products to a certain size, because DIY tools, kids' toys, they all, I do assume, have a maximum size. And also, when I was thinking about this, I thought, there would be a threshold of hundreds of thousands of pieces, because my next question is, if a retailer processes below that volume threshold, as you said, it's one, is outsourcing, because that's what you're offering. You're not a re-commerce platform. You're offering this service as a white label. Is outsourcing superior to building internal capabilities, or is scaling the only determinant?
Yes, so that is exactly what we offer when we take a deeper look in the industry. Because what is the issue? Refurbishment in whatever way is not fitting into traditional logistic chains and logistics processes. So therefore, a retailer or a third-party logistics provider, they don't have the ability to perform that on a very high efficient basis, and they also don't want to do the refurbishment of products. It's not their core business. And that's the reason why we offer this as a service. And our system is designed in a way that we can handle products with so highly individual products where we only have one piece of it in our warehouse. Because again, what is the requirement here? If we not only think about different retailers, if we think about one certain retailer, often or a brand, they do not have just 2 or 3 or 10 products that they are selling. They have a great variety of products that they are selling. And therefore, if they need a partner for the refurbishment, they need somebody who is also able to deal with these big varieties.
Could you take us on a little mental journey, drone fly through your retail facilities right now? What will we see, and what kind of products are you already processing? Because in my mind, there's like a lot of different bags, shelves with different products, and you have a lot of automated tools running in between and a few people looking into that, and some kind of a car wash where the products go through.
Yes. So what's happening in our warehouse? If we take the drone flight throughout our warehouse, there is a first step which is called the sorting. So we get products from different customers. Some of them have directly rerouted their return address to our warehouse. Others are collecting the returns in their own warehouse. Then they do the check, the grading. So if a product is new and can be sold as new again, they put it back into their storage and their shop. If they cannot process with the products, they collect it on pallets, and then that will be shipped on truckloads to our warehouse. And in the first step, in the sorting, what we're doing is we take this bunch of different items randomly packed on pallets, and then every product gets a unique barcode from our system. So then we are marrying a single product with our system. That's the first step. And in the next step, we really run through the refurbishment processes. So we do a checking of the product. So we see if everything is working, if all the parts are here. We do a hygienical cleaning of the product. If necessary, we do spare parts management. So we have also integrated an intelligent spare parts management. Before a product goes to trash, it moves into our spare parts management. And if the same product comes in our warehouse again, our operators will have it on their user interfaces that they can exchange parts on that. And in the last step, we do a grading. So we define, okay, what refurbishment condition does this product have? And then once the refurbishment part is done, the products move into fulfillment. They will be listed automatically on different resale channels. And then once a product is sold, we put the products out and ship them to end customers. And maybe the most important thing, what we have to talk about is that for the reason that products are so different from each other, and the not only the product variety, but also the variety of possible errors, defects, or whatever a return product can have is that big. So that means at the moment, technology is not ready to do that fully automated. So what we are doing is we are setting on a data-driven process. We've integrated a tech layer into our system. That means that we track all the data for every item. We cluster the data. We take in data from other sources. And then we have AI-guided workflows in the background that show our operators directly at their workstations. For example, at the check station, they have their own user interface, and there our system automatically generates refurbishment guidelines, what things, what steps need to be done for each and every different item. And that is the most important thing, because with that, we enable the refurbishment for non-standardized goods on a scalable and industrial.
Okay. I was wondering, where does the refurbishment fail economically? Is it low product value? Is it excessive handling complexity? What I had in mind is like mechanical wristwatches there, or is it the resale channel friction?
So for sure, there is some, let's say, a threshold of a selling price. We say a product under 20 euros of the suggested retail price is not doable with a positive business case. And the other thing that you have to take into account is that it is a complex handling, but that's exactly where, again, our system gets into the game, and we reduce that complexity in order to have the positive business case. And the last point that you mentioned, the resale channels, here I would more or less put it the other way around. The resale channels are kind of they're pushing into that, because the resale channels, like the big marketplaces out there, they want to expand their product portfolio. They want to also expand their product portfolio in the refurbishment section. But in order to do that, they need the demand. So they need somebody who is supplying the refurbished products to the marketplaces. So here we see a strong push.
Mm-hmm. We've been talking about the retailers here, and you offer their service. So I was wondering, from their perspective, what measurable signal tells a retailer to stop refurbishing a category and liquidate instead?
I mean, at the end, it has to be a business case. So if they are doing something or trying out something and they see that there is no business case behind, that might be the KPI or the signal to stop doing the refurbishment. Because for sure, at the end, it is a sustainable solution, but it also has to be a positive business case.
Mm-hmm. Your model is refurbishment as a service. Why is the service architecture here superior to a marketplace resale model?
I mean, mainly the marketplace resale part is part of our model. So in our refurbishment service, we do not only offer the physical refurbishment of the products, we also offer the fulfillment and the listing and the customer support on the resale marketplaces. And for us, we saw that it is kind of the whole package that brands and retailers want to have, because they are not familiar. Most of them are not familiar with the refurbishment solution. So they're searching for a partner who can take away all their efforts in that area.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there are some gear wheels turning in some of our listeners out there. And so my next question is, if brands retain the ownership of goods, where does the decision authority sit? For example, for pricing, grading, or channel allocation, so that people listening to this, thinking about getting such kind of service, maybe in the future, adding it to their strategy, what would they need to think about in those terms?
Yes. So we're following a partnership model. That means that we are not a typical liquidator. If you work with a liquidator, you don't have any control over your product. And we want to turn the status quo around, because we say we work together with the partners. So even though we are doing all the handling in the background, the brand or the retailer still has full control over brand, pricing, where and when to sell the products. For sure, we make the suggestions based on our knowledge. We would offer this product with this price on this marketplace and these countries. But if a brand has some strategic interest, for example, to say, no, we want to exclude this specific market, then for sure we will exclude it.
When a brand insists on preserving premium positioning, does that constrain improved margin or destroy throughput efficiency?
When we talk about the brand positioning on the refurbishment channels, it's not really about the fact that how they grade the products, if they don't want to put products in a certain grade on the marketplaces, because the grades, A, B, C grade, they are here and they are defined on the marketplaces. It's more the question about what marketplaces am I choosing for reselling my products? Because for sure there are marketplaces like, what is it in Germany? It's Kleinanzeigen, in Austria it's Willhaben. So where private people deal with used products, that's a marketplace where you don't have a good brand positioning, no premium brand positioning. But for sure, there are other marketplaces out there, for example, Refurbed, who have a very strong premium positioning. So if you put your products on these specific marketplaces, you can still maintain the premium positioning, but you can handle all the products behind.
Talking about products, under what condition would you shift from service provider to principal owner of inventory?
We also have the second model, that we are the owner of the inventory. Mostly it's the case in our customer acquisition. So for sure, we also know that, especially when talking to bigger brands or bigger retailers, there might be complex structures in the company, and also it's not that easy to move to new models like our refurbishment-as-a-service model. So therefore we offer, it's called a buy and sell model for a test pilot, so that we directly purchase a certain amount of items. We do the refurbishment, we take the ownership, and then we have data that we can validate. And based on the data from the test pilot, it is way easier also for the brand in the more complex, bigger company structure to move towards the refurbishment-as-a-service model.
As our audience will already have noticed, this conversation is for allocators, allocating capital, designing supply chains, or carrying return risk on a balance sheet. If you don't own P&L responsibility or operational throughput decisions, this discussion will not necessarily compound for you. Staying with the questions of refurbishment here, your refurbishment process is driven by an internal ERP, enterprise resource program, and AI decision automation. Where exactly does AI change the margin structure? Is it in assessment speed, in labor reduction, or even in resale optimization?
So mainly it is in the efficiency of our refurbishment, because when we maybe circle back to the drone flight across our warehouse from before, we use the AI guided workflows at the workstations where our people, our operators are working. So that means by supporting our operators with the outputs from our AI, we enable them to be more efficient, and that is for sure directly related to the labor cost and the unit economics behind.
If I would be mean and would be removing the AI tomorrow from your company overall, which unit economics do you think would deteriorate first?
I guess it would be the time for refurbishment. So for sure we could do the refurbishment, our system would work, but not that efficient as we have it right now. And for sure, again, the time to refurbishment is directly linked to the labor cost and our unit economics.
So it's time and the associated costs going with it. Okay. Refurbishment promises capital efficiency. Scale demands capital intensity. In the next segment, we will resolve whether refurbishment is a European efficiency play or a disguised hypergrowth infrastructure bet. We'll be back after a short ad break. Wolfgang, you are scaling from roughly tens of thousands to over 1 million units annually. Is this a capital efficient trajectory or a deliberate move towards an industrial concentration?
I mean, for sure, what we see is that we have strong economies of scale inside of our process. If we do it on a larger scale, we can do it way more efficient. But also on the other side, we want to be the top one player of refurbishment of non-standardized goods in Europe. So that's the way we want to go, and we want to scale our solution.
I would be asking to position yourself explicitly. American style business scaling or European capital discipline?
I would say we are more on the European capital discipline, because also for us, what is important, that at the moment we run a profitable business case with our refurbishment operations. But for sure, if there are the right partners on board, also the first way, the blitz scaling is in our mind.
Under which structural condition would you switch polarity?
I would say if we would have investors on board who are willing to go way more aggressively in the topic. So if they would pre-finance our automation via robotics and deep AI right now at the moment.
What do you think? Which constraint in DACH is structural, meaning Germany, Austria, and Switzerland? Which constraint there is structural? Is it regulation, labor costs, capital markets, and which is situational?
I mean, I think a big issue we have in the DACH region, that is labor cost, and labor cost is a structural thing here. Other factors, for example, like the capital market, from my personal opinion, can be more a situational thing.
Your early belief was that refurbishment could be managed by a small founding team. What evidence invalidated that assumption?
I mean, mainly we still stick to that belief. We are a small founding team. There is my co-founder Jörn, who is doing all the technical things in the operations. There's me. I'm more on the business development and the finance side. And we have Markus on board. He's a co-founding investor, and he's more into also business development and scaling our company. But from that perspective, I would say it's doable with a small founding team.
What is the operational rule you see today to decide when to industrialize versus keep founder control?
I think that there are two important factors, and these are: do you have the speed, and do you have the knowledge and the expertise? For example, if I talk specifically about our case, my co-founder Jan and me, we both come from the automated intralogistics sector. So we know what we are doing when we talk about logistic processes. So that for sure will be kept under founder control. But if we maybe talk about certain other areas, for example, business development and scaling our company, there might be very important inputs from the outside to us. So that are topics where we don't insist on founder control.
In your current organization, are refurbishment decisions centralized or distributed across operational nodes?
These decisions are centralized, and I guess that is also the most important thing in our whole system, because what is the issue here? When we are talking about tens of thousands of different products, one single person, one single operator is not able to have the knowledge how to refurbish all of these different items. So therefore, we are collecting and gathering all together these decisions centralized in a warehouse, and from there it will be distributed to the single operators.
And I was wondering, at what scale does the centralized decision-making break?
I would frame it the other way around, because it will not break at a certain scale. The bigger the scale, the better it gets, because the more data we can put into our system, the more feedback loops we get from our operators directly at the workstations, the better our model can train behind, and the more precise our refurbishment guidelines will be.
I think that also tickles in the back of my mind an interview we had about digital assistants who help you to work more efficient as a leader in an organization. You should listen to that. If you're not accountable for hiring, capital allocation, or strategic polarity in your organization, the next section will not translate into action. This dialogue assumes thus institutional responsibility and not commentary. Let us get into the last few questions. Refurbishment integrates social workforce element through partnerships with labor market integration programs. Is that mission-aligned leverage or an operational risk?
We see it as a mission-aligned leverage and as an additional benefit, because what we are doing here is we take away the skilled labor force component in our operations. So we are able to work with, let's say, more unskilled labor, and therefore having a way better way to go for scaling operations.
Mm-hmm. There's somebody drilling in the background. Sorry about that. If social integration increases error rates by 5%, would you preserve it or remove it?
So I'm happy that we don't see it, that there are more error rates from socially integrated people. But at the end, I would say it isn't depending whether it's a socially integrated person or a person who we hired directly. If the error rate is increasing on a personal level, for sure we have to change something here.
Mm-hmm. And we are already at the end. You kept it very tight. Thank you very much. As of today, is ByeAgain capital open, capital selective, or capital closed?
We're capital selective. So we are right now in different talks with investors, because we want to close a seed round to further expand our refurbishment capacity and move on with our scaling.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And are you net hiring, net stable, or net selective?
Net hiring, especially with our plans ahead. There are lots of people that we need to have on board.
Mm-hmm. I see, and you'll share with me your career website after this conversation, and we'll link it down here in the show notes. Refurbishment is no longer a sustainability footnote. It is a design choice inside retail architecture. The operators who treat returns as infrastructure will compound. The rest will write off inventory and call it waste. This had been Startup Radio, and Wolfgang, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.